Now, newspapers around the world this week have been reporting on an online Olympic ticketing scam. A number of sites reportedly linked to a British resident, Terence Shepherd, have been offering tickets that buyers say were never delivered. At least one of those sites has now been closed down, and the International Olympic Committee says it will take legal action. My next guest, though, says he was a victim of that scam, and the IOC has been of little help. Jim Moriarty is a partner at Houston-based law firm Moriarty, Leyendecker and Urban. He set up a website, BeijingTicketScam.com, to expose the fraud, and he's with me now from Beijing. Mr. Moriarty, thank you very much for joining us, and commiserations on the fact you were ripped off. This, though, was quite a lot more sophisticated than your average online scam. These normally have terrible grammar, spelling mistakes. This was nothing like that, correct?
Oh, this was not only nothing like that. The thing that really created the problem here is the scammers literally did a better job of creating a better website and better customer support than the official legal website did.
So you and many others were sucked in. You lost, I think, $12,000, but more importantly, you had your heart set on getting some tickets, which you didn't get now. You want the IOC to basically order corporate buyers to make tickets available, yes?
No, I don't want them to order the corporate buyers to do it. What I'm trying to do is to do what the IOC and the USOC have refused to do, and that is have some sympathy and some compassion for these families who were so badly victimized. I've had families of Olympic swimmers, of you know, all sorts. Literally people from all over the world have contacted me. And the IOC's attitude, even though they knew about this problem 6-8 months ago and did nothing, the IOC's attitude is, well, you didn't buy them from our website, so it's really your problem.
What would you like the IOC to actually do? I mean, to have sympathy is one thing, but that doesn't really help people get their money back or get the tickets. Is there anything they can do in material terms?
There's two things they can do. The first is you need to remember these victims are not rich people who decided to fly to Beijing to spend the weekend watching a U2 concert. These are the families and the friends and the neighbors and the people who have supported our Olympic athletes from all over the world for years. And they come here to watch their children and their friends' children and their neighbors compete. We're not talking about just victims off the street. We're talking about the very people for which the Olympics exist, without which there would be no Olympics. So the first thing the Olympic Committee ought to do is they ought to apologize for being part of the scam and part of allowing this to happen, because they could have stopped this dead in its tracks 6 months ago. The second thing they could do, and they could do it, it would be shooting ducks in a barrel, is all they would have to do is say, look, we're going to do everything we can do to help you get tickets. We'll put the word out and we'll help you get tickets, and these families would not be so devastated.
You make a living out of suing large companies. Will you sue anyone over this?
Well, the truth is I don't really like lawsuits. Lawsuits are, you know, it's sort of like using a nuclear weapon to try to build a house. They're oftentimes not effective weapons. The problem here is really the need of these victims to get tickets, to appreciate that they're not the only people in the world who got scammed, to do what, oddly enough, the media has done uniformly. Is every time I've talked to the media, their response is, well, this is really a shame that this happened. You know, the IOC hasn't said that. The IOC says, why didn't you go buy them off our website? Well, I'll tell you why people didn't buy them off their website. Their website didn't work.
The man behind this, or the alleged man behind this, Terence Shepherd, has been involved before. He's actually been banned from being a corporate director in both in the UK and Australia. So, realistically, you know, one has to assume the IOC could perhaps have tracked this man and perhaps any others who've been involved in these scams in the past more closely.
They didn't even need to track him. They had two rights. The IOC had two rights which they could have used. The first is cyber squatting. Cyber squatting is when you go steal somebody else's good name and you use it to cheat people, and they could have figured that out from day one. The second thing the IOC could have done is when these websites went up and when people started complaining to the IOC and the USOC, they could have gone on the website, instantly figured out, they could have figured out what we couldn't figure out, was these were not legitimate honest websites. The real failure here for this, about this English gang, is the English authorities, the criminal authorities, who have known about these phony websites for years, different websites, because this guy is supposed to have like 250 websites. And the English authorities, even though the scam was being perpetrated right under their nose, did nothing.
Okay, well, at least I know you have managed by other means to get hold of tickets to one of the events, the one closest to your heart, in which your friend Shannon Robury is competing. So congratulations on that, and I hope there's some resolution for all those other families and relatives, etc., who aren't able to attend. Jim, thank you very much. Jim Moriarty, partner at Moriarty, Leyendecker and Urban, speaking there in Beijing.